Hey all, Ashley here. Hope you're doing well. Today I'm coming on with a probably pretty casual video. I'm going to share a little bit about how I stitch on paper. Although I will start with a couple caveats. One being, I have gotten asked about this before a handful of times, but I'm not sure exactly how much interest this will be to the broader group. So I will just post it anyways and we will just see. But the other more important caveat is that I am definitely no expert. I never sewed anything until I started stitching on paper, and I just taught myself how to do it, and this is my process. It works for me, although I don't think I technically do everything the like quote unquote correct way from like an expert point of view. But again, this is just my process and it works for me. So this is my machine. It's a Singer machine. I think it was probably around $100. I can't really remember now, but I have no complaints. I do know that my machine has maybe fewer stitches than other machines. So these are all the available stitches that it comes with. And I pretty much just use these 6, maybe these 5 even, but zigzag and straight stitch are really all I need. So even though it doesn't have as many stitches as other machines, this really works fine. And the thread I use is Gutermann, although this is just the thread I'm using right now. This is a light pink color. It's color 300. And I really like this brand. It has a lot of different colors, but I don't, if there's another brand on sale, I will definitely buy it. I have another thread here. I don't know what brand this is, but that's like a warmer pink. It's a different brand type. And so I've never had a thread break on me before. So I don't think it makes a huge difference in terms of what brand you use, but like I said, right now, this is the brand that I'm using and it has a lot of colors. So I do like this one, this Gutermann one. And then I keep my tension on 4. Oops, that's my finger. I keep my tension on 4, and that's just how the machine came. I never change that for any reason, really. I just leave it there. I think it's probably going to be different for whatever machine you have, but this is just the standard one that my machine has as the default. So I leave everything as a default. And then this is my back stitch. I think one thing that I do that, I think probably the experts would disagree on is that I don't ever use back stitching, actually. I don't really think it makes a huge difference personally. I have never had anything unraveled before. And so for me, yeah, I just don't really do back stitching. I have never had a reason to so far, so I just kind of skip that step. But if you are worried about anything unraveling, you can always do the back stitch. Just start your first few stitches by pressing this down. But again, I skip that step. I don't really worry about it on paper. And then I have my petal down here. Maybe I'll show a few examples and then we can stitch something. Let me pull out something. Okay, so here's a mini album I've actually been working on adding a little bit more to recently. It's a mini album I made a long time ago, but I am just circling back to it to add a little bit more detail on the inner pages. So you can see I used the small zigzag stitch here, the larger zigzag stitch here, and then up at the top, you can see like examples of how I say I don't really cut these flyaway strands. I just let them be like this sometimes. So you can trim them down if you want to make a cleaner look, like I did here on the front. I trimmed off the flyaways and made sure they were kind of taped to the back. but up here I just let them be flyaways. I don't know if you can really see it as well as you can in person because it's a kind of soft pink, but yeah, I like the way that that looks. So these are all the tabbed pages, and I added a little bit of stitching just to the tabs to really adhere the tabs down. And I left the stitching, like I left the threads dangling. So let's stitch something. I had to figure out how I'm going to show this, but let me get it set up. Okay, hopefully you can see it well enough, but it's nothing fancy. It's just, I just stick my paper in and line the needle to where I want the stitching to start. And then I use the knob at the side of my machine to push the needle down into the paper, and then I just start using my pedal. And that's it. So that gives me this kind of a stitch. And then if I switch to straight, so for the thread that comes up from the bottom, that goes behind your paper. And then the thread that's coming down from your needle, that goes above your paper. And then use the little knob at the corner of your machine to stick your needle down into the paper where you want the stitching to start. And then use the pedal to stitch all the way through. And then pull out and cut, and that's it. So like I said, I don't really worry too much about all these like loose threads sometimes. Sometimes I just let them be. Sometimes they are quite long and I will trim them a little bit. So just trim a little bit of the excess off, but still leave a little bit dangling like that. If you want to make it very neat, then you can pull through the stitching all the way to the back like that. Like you pull the last piece of thread that came out of the paper, you pull it to the back and then tape it back here. So just quickly, I didn't show before, but this is the knob that I was mentioning. This is what I turn. I twist this to get the needle to go down. And once the needle goes down into my paper, that's when I start using the pedal to start stitching faster. Okay, so I think that that's everything for my process. I hope this was helpful, but yeah, like I said, I'm not an expert. This is just the best way I have to explain how I do it. But thanks for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye.